name is Ronald, and I'll be moderating this session, Ronald Ajiboye. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm a C-suite optimization strategist and also a tech leader. I've developed some couple of products. These days, I'm more interested in social enterprise. I also want to see, because I have political ambition, I one day want to lead this country too, as the president. And so because of that, I want to build impact, not because of the money. I also want to be extending. Tolu Elumelu Foundation says that I want to give 10,000 people $5,000, I think so. I think for 10 years or thereabouts. And it's living that. So I also have a dream of something similar. I will let Charlotte do justice. So our own introduction.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good. So my name is Charlotte Essiet. I have an engineering background. And of course, I've spent 2 decades in the energy sector, and I've worked for most of the Fortune 500 companies you can think of. And so I diversified into tech because for me, it was clear that this was the pathway that I wanted to go to. And one of the core things for me was, what was it? UAVs. And so what UAVs? What the common man will call drones. So we got into the drone ecosystem, and the key thing for me is, how do we deliver? How do we create impact? And so getting into the drone space, we partner with two of the world's best. And so for us was, first, how do we come in to fully take over drone delivery services? Now that has moved to phase 2 of our project. Now phase 1 is what we call unmanned traffic management. What is unmanned traffic management? Short form, UTM. UTM is the idea where you identify, monitor, and scale up all the drones operations for the country, and that's what we're currently doing in partnership, PPP, with the Nigerian Aerospace Management Agency. Elint system is Nigeria's pioneering for unmanned traffic management in country. And so the idea is that we come through with drone operators, especially commercial purpose drones. I'm not talking drones that our children used to play up and down. I'm talking modern drones. I'm talking aerial photography guys, surveillance, and for all this is key impact, creating opportunities, imbibing the culture of security for the entire country, and knowing who is upstairs. We're tired of the congestion with traffic, and so now we've taken up ourselves up onto the airspace, and that's what we currently do. We're working with most of the drone operators. That way, we understand how and what their use case would be. So, for example, you have the guys who are doing agriculture. They're spraying pesticides all of the parts of the North, Kaduna, Nasarawa, where you have land mass. So we want to know how long you're staying up there. What are you doing up there? And, of course, for unsolicited drones, you and I know who we call the unsolicited drones, the guys who are not supposed to be on the airspace, but are doing what they're not supposed to be doing. So the idea is to harness this, work with the entire security base, which is what we call the Office of the National Security Advisor. At the same time, pick this up and then revenue it based for the country via NAMA. Thank you.
My name is Paul Jemitola. My background is in the military. I spent a decent part of my life in the military. As a 17-year-old, I reported to the Nigerian Defense Academy for a 5-year degree program in physics. Thereafter, I joined the Nigerian Air Force as an aircraft engineer. I was trained as an aircraft engineer. As a child, I had passion for aircraft. I had passions for anything that flies, And so I had the opportunity of working in an institute that had a lot of sophisticated equipment for aviation. And I had this persuasion that with the type of equipment we have here, we should be able to make an aircraft. But at that stage, I didn't have sufficient knowledge. I read a lot of books and things like that, but it wasn't enough. I made some attempts, some risky attempts, but it wasn't sufficient. So much later, I got to do my master's degree in aerospace vehicle design. So I did a master's degree in aircraft design. And then I later did a PhD in aerospace engineering. So when I came back to the country with more knowledge, I now made the aircraft. And because I made the aircraft, even though I wasn't a pilot, the only way you can prove an aircraft is if it flies. No matter how beautiful it looks, if it's on the tarmac or on the runway, it's not an aircraft until you have demonstrated that it can fly. So I tried to persuade a few pilot friends of mine to fly the aircraft for me, but they said, Kai, this thing, no, they are not doing it. You know? I tried to explain to them that, look, everything is all right. I've done all the analysis and what have you. Even showed them some my CAD drawings and stuff. But no, they were not willing. So I said, okay, well, I might as well do it myself. So I was monitoring the weather when the weather was good, because normally you test aircraft on almost STP conditions. When the weather is, the wind speeds are low, no cloud and everything. So that evening, I left home. I didn't tell my wife where I was going to. And, you know, sometimes when you're doing something innovative and crazy, it can be a lonely road, you know. I remember it was a Sunday. I was driving to the airfield, and there was football was going on. And somebody was telling me, you're not all right too. People are watching football. You're saying you're going to fly an aircraft. Anyway, with my heart beating. Let me tell you, it's not easy to fly an aircraft too. When you're up there, if you fall down, it's not die. So with my heart beating, you know, and I had one friend of mine, he's not the one doing the flight. He said, sir, the weather is very good. I think you can fly. Anyway, so I sat down, cranked the engine, and I took off, you know. And, you know, knowledge. I knew the physics. I knew the knowledge. So I was able to fly it and land it. And then I flew it a number of times much later, you know. When I got home, I told my wife, say, I flew. She just looked at me up. She saw that everything was still complete. You know? And then one officer said he was going to charge me for exposing military property to hazardous environment. That's myself. I'm a military property. Exposing myself was an offense, you know? Anyway, so we were fortunate to be the first set of people to go into drones design. But just in the early 2000s, we designed drones and stuff like that. Of course, the industry has mopped. And having left the service, now I have set up my own company called Vector Aeronautics. Thank you very much.
Prof.
Good afternoon. My name is Christiana Onoja. I'm an engineer. I have a background in engineering with over a decade of experience practicing. I'm also a technology consultant, and I help businesses automate their processes using AI. Over the years, I've been practicing, and I've also been able to implement projects and products for businesses across different sectors. And this multifaceted approach has given me insight to understanding the various use cases and the various problems that organizations and businesses face. And that's why I've ventured into the AI ML integration, because understanding use cases is one of the issues that organizations face in adopting AI into their processes. So with my background, it has helped me help organizations integrate AI into their processes. Beyond my consulting background, I also have a nonprofit that helps women and girls build capacity in STEM. Over the years, since 2020, we've been able to impact over 10,000 women and girls across Africa with STEM skills. However, with that impact, we deal with the entire life cycle, from introductory into secondary schools to mid-level careers, people who want to transition from one career field to the other. And people who are already in the job market and building products. We'll realize that we're not operating at the ground level or the entry level, which has to do with policy, tech policy. We just implement, and we still see that we face challenges along the way during implementation. And we thought as an organization, that is as Partnership for African Women Advancement, that we're going to diversify a bit and focus more around digital inclusion to ensure that there's more inclusion across board. And also to be involved at the decision-making table, because I believe that that's where it actually starts from, the decision-making. Because without being at that decision-making table, we can't really decide or know what policies will be put down that would be inclusive or will be favorable to the various businesses. So we ventured into policy, and so far we've been recognized by various global organizations, ranging from the United Nations of Disarmament Research Institute, where we were selected as one of the persons representing Nigeria under DICON, that's the Defense Industry Commission of Nigeria, as people representing for the Women in AI Fellowship that happened last in April in Geneva. So in that particular fellowship, we're able to get more insights into how to implement AI solutions for various use cases and see how to localize these solutions in the African context.
Thank you.
Beyond the involvement with the UN, we've also been recognized by other governments, from the US Department of State, where we've been able to represent Africa on developing global policies and briefs, to the government of Cape Verde, to the government of Kenya, and also integrations with the Nigerian government. So during this session, we'll be able to go deeper and understand how our solutions are also helping. We also have a new product, which is the She Code AI platform, which is the first of its kind, an AI-powered platform that helps democratize access for women and girls to come into AI. AI is quite broad. There's a lot of buzzword. There's a lot of new solutions coming up. Even for me as a technical person and some of my technical colleagues, you sleep and you wake up and you see new solutions every day. And so I'm just thinking about the non-technical persons in the room or in the world that do not have the time to go through policy briefs or even go through these documentations that are available all the time. So She Code AI was created and developed to ensure that this contents are readily available in languages that are understood by non-technical people, so that access to AI education is really adopted as quickly as possible, and also in the African context. I'm happy to be here again for the second edition of the PA Tech Summit. I was here last year talking about AI and its use cases, and I'm looking forward to an awesome session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so to make the session real quick, we're just going to do like 2 questions, right? However, I would like it to be extensive. I want people to understand, so I want to localize it. The part of blockchain is the only one that is not here, so I'm going to take blockchain out of it. So we're going to be focusing on drones, robotics, AI, right? And maybe advanced, airspace, yeah. So, my first question will be going to Charlotte, and then because we're talking about the UTM, and people cannot relate. So my first question is going to be to you. So what is the business case for UTM in African cities today in the most realistic way?
So when you look at the growing drone adoptions, a lot of African startups, so let's use agricultural firms or even the guys who are delivering medicine to the rural areas, so like a zip line. They're already flying, but guess what? Without UTM, scaling safely is impossible. A few months ago in the US, there was a crash between a helicopter, an airline, and these are 2 major guys who operate in the airspace. Now, to be honest, did we have ATC? ATC is an air traffic controller. The guys sit in the control towers and they're talking to the pilots, either drone pilots or helicopter pilots. So I'm going granular so that people can understand. I'm sure the guy was sleeping because it was his responsibility to have said to the helicopter, go below or go above. And so the helicopter had no business with the airline to have that collision. And so for us in aviation technology, what is key is safely. So back here, if we're going to use Zipline as a use case, for them to be able to deliver the drugs to the rural areas, or even the guys throwing his pesticides in the farms in Nasarawa or Adamawa, without UTM, we're not going to scale safely. Now, that's one way. Now, we're creating jobs and innovation. Now, if you don't have a UTM system, you don't create the demand for a drone pilot. You don't create a demand for an airspace analyst. There's no creation for a software engineer or a UTM engineer or an AI developer or even the regulatory compliance area. So with the UTM on board now, it's so easy to have new guys. And so remember I was telling you about it yesterday. One of our major key companies in the drone ecosystem just got the license to run ARCO worldwide. ARCO just got the license from NCAA, our regulator, to run an academy in Port Harcourt. And you cannot imagine the amount, and that's the first. So imagine the amount of guys now who are going to go into that, because before we have them in South Africa and Kenya and America. So now we have an academy here in Port Harcourt, actually. Now you have drone pilots coming out of that school. You'll have different kind of topics coming out. So that's the emergence of UTM as a business case. I can go on and on and on, but trust me, there's an urban challenge that needs aerial solutions. So Lagos, Eco Atlantic, we have where most of the roads in VI are unsafe. So UTM allows for a secure, reliable urban air route where we're saving time, we're saving costs, and even lives. So you can have your medical supply delivery as soon as possible. We can see surveillance in conflict zones, and all of that. So I can go on and on the business cases. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next to Prof. And then it's around the design space. So while we're trying to grow, local organizations to build drones, you're an aerospace professor. You understand right from the conceptual, preliminary, detailed framework down to system designs and all of that, ergonomics. It takes a lot. You need embedded system, you need software engineers and a lot more. So do you think we are ready in Nigeria to be able to build indigenous products without any dependency on foreign other regulators, foreign experts, foreign intervention, especially considering that most of the regulatory framework is actually brought down, maybe either from FAA, from ICAO, from all of those things, narrowed down here. So do you think we're sufficient? Because everybody wants to. We'll be like, we can do this, we can do this. And like I usually tell people, one of the key things, problem we have is talent. When you hire people here in Nigeria, I'm sorry, they go like, bros, leave that thing. Just go and sleep. Please don't sleep. When you come back, your software, your team, your solution architectural framework design. So do you think we're at that level that we can build all of this product, especially UAVs, without foreign intervention?
Well, I think that the UAV technologies is really evolving, and evolving at a very, very fast pace. And part of this evolution, this revolution, so the UAVs are, causing what you call a revolution in military affairs. And a lot of the evolutions in UAV tech is coming out of the conflicts Ukraine and Russia and in the Middle East. And a lot is happening. The motors are getting better, the batteries are lasting longer, and they have they are becoming lighter and things like that. The challenge, I can even tell you a short story. There were some UAVs that were brought by some Israelis a while back for patrol from Port Harcourt to Benin, and then there were some issues with the contract, and then they left. So when we came back from, hot from school, our chief that time said that there are these UAVs in Benin. Can you guys see if you can reactivate them? So we went to Benin, And the thing that knowledge does is amazing. Because as soon as I set eyes on the UAV, I instantly knew we could get them back to work. And that's what knowledge does. So we got the UAVs working, and then later the Israelis were surprised at how come we were able to do it. It's just knowledge. In the aviation industry, apart from maybe China and the US and maybe Russia, you do not have a country that produces everything you make in an aircraft. Even for your airliner, your engines are General Electric, it's made in maybe America, your avionics systems are in different countries. The trick, the knowledge there is to bring all these parts, these different components, and assemble them and to make them function as a working whole. And as far as it's concerned, I think we have talent in Nigeria. We have people who can bring different components from all different parts of the world, because that's my specialty, actually, UAV design, aircraft design. We design it and bring parts. I mean, if I can, I'm sure there are many people like me who can do that here and elsewhere. Bring one part from China, one part from America, one part from England, one part from Germany, and you design it and you integrate everything. All the systems are talking to each other and they understand each other, and they work. So we do have the capacity. And there's nothing wrong with espionage. There's nothing wrong with borrowing ideas from other people. You don't have to do everything yourself. They say do not reinvent the wheel. But I say there's nothing wrong with making your own wheel. Toyota cannot say that don't make it Toyota Camry because Honda has made an Accord. So what if Honda made an Accord? You can make your own Toyota Camry. So you can always don't let anybody tell you that you are trying to reinvent the wheel. Tell them you are trying to make your own wheel. Your own wheel. So whatever I believe we can do it. We would learn. We don't have all the knowledge, but we'll be learning, we'll be borrowing ideas, stealing ideas. In fact, if I may, when there was a time our former service chief got that, those of us that had this expertise, and he told us, he said, gentlemen, I want you to go to make UAVs, and I want you to go to any part of the world to steal the technology. And we went to different parts of the world to steal the technology, and we built the UAVs. So we can do it.
Thank you so much. That's a very resounding assurance. Thank you, Prof. Yesterday, myself and a newly, friend of mine, she's the only person in Hagrick here. We're having, during the dinner, together with Dr. Jameson, we're having a conversation around AI. And concerns were raised around, the ergonomics, concerns were raised around the safety, precautionary measures, and the likes. And these are big issues. Most of the regulatory framework and that we have been going on around, our own problem is localized. And because maybe we haven't actually experienced them yet, we are unable to complain about it so that it can be factored into the regulatory framework. I was speaking at the Christian Association of Nigeria, their executive council, and I was having a session with them. And they were complaining, and the international body, both the Christian and Muslim. And they said, you people are building AI regulatory framework. What about the people of faith? Have they been invited into this? And to be honest, when I checked it deeply, and I realized that we compel obedience from these people, actually. Low-key, there are actually some people that will listen to. And so when it comes to penetration and adoption, these are channels we could have explored. So my question to Christiana will be, what is the risk of exclusion if Africa adopts international AI standard blindly? What is the risk of exclusion?
Okay. Thanks for that question. This is an important question, and I believe that this should always be the first point of call for us as Africans, because Africans can only solve, we Africans can build our own solutions and solve our problems. I don't believe that someone from outside would be able to understand our local context enough like we do. I understand how, for instance, the street works or the villages work or the issues that we have from the cultural norms, even down to the infrastructure issues that we have from low energy to low internet access. People from the diaspora would not understand this local context. So one of the risks that I see is would be actually a factor to, or a patient to the digital colony again. So just the same way we were colonized, this would be another type of colonization if we do not start to think about creating solutions for our own local context. We also discussed some of these concerns during some of the forums that I've attended so far and been involved in. And one thing that I've realized is that some of the concerns that we have and solutions that we have are actually the same across board. That is for Africans to actually develop solutions for Africa. From the Internet Governance Forum, where we talked about policies, having multilingual approach to the solutions that we create, and not just focused on specific languages like English or French, for instance, but having solutions that can diversify and speak to people in their local context, as well as be able to understand the various languages and the cultural norms that are available. Ronald, if you can remember last year, we were talking about developing a solution that can convert speech to text in the Hausa language. And I know how it took us to implement that solution or even find solutions to fit that exact same need. But this year, just a year difference is not the same anymore. Things have evolved and is evolving really rapidly. And that's why I'm of the opinion that as Africans, we need to move really fast to ensuring that we start to deploy solutions and focus on implementing solutions for ourselves as quickly as possible so that we do not become colonized by the global south. Another approach or another thing that happened in the course of the past few months was my engagement with the UNESCO, where we were at this meeting and we were talking about the necessary assessments that have been done, AI readiness assessment that have been done, because I've been involved in a couple of AI strategies that have been developed across different countries in Africa, from the one that was created by Nigeria, the Digital Economy Ministry, down to the AI strategy that was developed by Rwanda, down to the AI strategy that was developed by Kenya, and what Cape Verde is currently doing. However, getting to UNESCO, they talked about having a readiness assessment for Nigeria, which is coming out soon. And I wondered, who were the people that created this particular readiness assessment? Who were the people involved in creating this readiness assessment, which also boils down to the fact that we need to be involved in these conversations. And I got to find out that, of course, it was just the internal teams carrying out research, the information they see online, and the ideas that they have about Africa, but not Africans being fully involved in developing these solutions. So it's actually just a call to action that Africa is actually building, and these solutions can only be built by Africans. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Christiana, let me ask you the last question. So I start like this. I was given a start the other time when the technical sessions were trying to fix things. And I was saying that we have 60% of our population in Africa in the rural sector, and a while in the urban sector, 40. However, we have 20% of infrastructure support only going to the rural sector. We have more talent, possibly. We have more population in the rural sector. We want to have inclusion. The first team that came talking about EdTech, when the first madam that spoke and said access. And I love that session because it was a juxtapose. While Alex said, well, let's find an inclusion. Let's not be talking about. But why she actually make a whole lot of sense. We all understand what access to rural means in Nigeria. You have built something, you want to get in there. As a matter of fact, I'd once done a corporate social responsibility to a community. I got sponsored by a group, up to over tune of 100 million. But guess what? Before that project could get done there, I had to bribe the community people for their own good. And I now said, let me give scholarship to about 4 persons there. Then when I met the mothers of those kids, the mother said, see, if you are going to take my kids outside, either abroad or to go and study, whatever, you have to pay us for it before you take them. So now, and I'm talking about not something that I read in books, something that happened to me. I'm sorry, it happened even on the water, somewhere around here. Not in Port Harcourt, of course, but somewhere around on the water here. So now, when it comes to inclusion in terms of AI, We're trying to see, we know that we have more possibly talent in the rural sector that we haven't tapped. There are a lot of unmet needs, unbanked people. How can we establish inclusion, create an AI-informed DPI framework that is realistic and that can quickly scale in the rural sector such that it can benefit? I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying. Right, so how can we have that system set up?
Okay, so it boils down to the fundamental issues that we've highlighted, from the low access to energy, low access to the internet. And some of these situations are there, but I also tell us not to focus as much as possible on it, because the other speaker talked about having to invest on the long run. So you don't look at it saying, oh, you're buying Starlink and it's so expensive, but you're looking at the long run impact and initiative. And it's just important for us to look for ways to solve those problems, like the energy problem, having solar systems in place, having offline systems in place, like the educational systems, where it can easily be accessed by the various participants, and just for them to understand what this solution is about. Another solution that I see is the grassroots engagement and getting them involved, which boils down to the stakeholder engagement. Because when we develop solutions or we prefer solutions, we just only come with the solutions. We don't involve them in the decision-making process and having them involved on the why, which is part of the reasons why people always push back on when you just come with solutions. But you just imagine that you go to them and they are part of the entire life cycle, which boils down to the human-centered design. So when you're designing, you design with the human in place. So you just don't design solutions for problems and then throw it to them. You go to those communities, you talk to them, and you people develop solutions for that particular problem. And that way, they feel like they're part of that whole solution provision, and you won't really experience any form of pushback on that. Another thing that I see in terms of beyond stakeholder engagement is there are a lot of documentations, a lot of policies that have been done, a lot of briefs. But not everyone really has the time to go through these briefs, or not everyone knows what is happening. A lot of people believe
it's not even existing.
And it's gone. And of course, the bombardment of AI solutions everywhere. What I also advise, and what we are doing, is breaking these terminologies, breaking these solutions down to be understood by anybody, any child, for instance, or even any adult, and just for you to see how you can implement this in your day-to-day life and various use cases. I would also like to give a recommendation back to the PH Tech Summit or Expo, because we always have this conversation, which boils down to like the general thing that happens around policy frameworks. We have these conversations from time to time. We gather here. Today we are in this room. I bet you that we are all excited, we are all energized, ready to take it to the next level. But once we leave this room, by tomorrow, or even next week, we forget about most of the things that we've discussed, or we don't even think about implementation. Right. So what my advice is, is for us to be able to come up with a next line of action. This is the second edition. The third edition should be able to address the next line of action, to say this was what we discussed, and this is the next step, and this is what we've been able to implement over the year. Right, and it's also in line with how policies are being developed and also implemented right now. So it's just a call to action that we also need to take we need to take steps into implementing every action that we've set out to do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're out of time. So I'll take the last two questions. Prof, and this is to, let's localize this to Port Harcourt. Yesterday, ACO, they announced, I think they've also put it on their LinkedIn. I sent Mazemo some message to congratulate them. And Port Harcourt, congratulations to Port Harcourt being the first state to have a drone pilot school, which was just a drone flight school. An aviation academy, actually. So not just drone, an aviation academy, which is for ACO, and is here in Port Harcourt. So, Prof, how do you think Port Harcourt can leverage this? The only reason why we are gathered here, the only reason why we're having a technology expo or summit is because to be able to expose, the people are coming around, and this is the center of South-South. what is this? What does this mean to Port Harcourt? And how can they leverage that, in terms of sovereignty?
Okay. I'd like to state that drones and drone technology is the future. Drone technology and drones are the future. And what has happened here is that Rivers State, they've set themselves up for the future by having the point role, the lead role, because the future of aviation is going to be very heavy with drones. And drones and all that comes with the autonomous system. So Port Harcourt or Rivers State have positioned themselves by, I don't know how, but by happenstance, they are going to be leading the way now in drone technology and operations, and so many things are going to be taken over by drones. And Port Harcourt or Rivers State have just placed themselves strategically in a way that they will have future relevance. And the one important thing about drones, which I mentioned earlier, is that the technology keeps on evolving. And the future is going to see a lot of AI involved in drone operations. And I mean, it's just a wonderful thing that has happened. So
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Charlotte, the last question. So, we have inventions and then we have regulations. You cannot regulate what is not in existence. But unfortunately, there are strategic sabotages that we know. In Nigeria, in the US, to get a drone pilot's license, it takes you very cheap and few days. In Nigeria, you know what it takes before you get that. First, you put your application, submit a lot of money, then down, it's filed out to NSA, Nigerian Security Advisor. It needs to be approved. Then eventually take it back to NCA. Then you get approved. You do your testing and all of that. It's too wide. Is it because of the security issues that we're doing this? Is it because we do not need innovation? Is it strategic sabotages? If we're going on the line of saying we want innovation, is this the right path to go? What do you think?
You're putting me on the spot. And you will set me up to fail. So, I like to look at this in two ways. The drone industry, or what I like to call aviation technology, it's a very dynamic, yet young, and very fast space. And so the traditional way of the typical aviators look at the drone technology, folks like us, they look at us as we just came to erupt the entire system. And that also applies to the regulation and the entire ecosystem around it. But the fortunate thing is, this dispensation with the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Dynamic, Barrister Festus Keyamo SAN, he has understood that without technology, no sector can prosper. And so he's sat down, and if you look at the 5-point agenda that he has, he's understood and made sure that regulations in terms of framework must be there, investment must be there, revenue generation must be there. That's the 3 ones. I'll leave the other 2. Now, if you don't factor this, how is that industry going to grow? And so every agency that is affiliated to aviation has understood that we need to do things differently. The process is still like that, but you and I know that when we started, it was more difficult than now. And so now we have new entrants who are coming in, and I'm on this group called Drone Niger, or Niger Drones. And every day I see the bantering going on, and I keep smiling because now we have new entrants. Now that young guy right there, as soon as he puts up a drone, he's part of this team. As soon as his drone goes up, regardless of the weight, if it's a DJI, Mavic 300, whichever, as long as he launches into that airspace, he's welcome into this team. And so the regulation now understands that he doesn't need to be an aviator. As long as he understands the skill, he's welcome. Now, you would go through the routes, but it's going to be easier because we need to also keep our airspace safe.
Even if you didn't answer the question, so for a second, I felt like I had a representative of the Honorable Minister, speaking, and I didn't know when Charlotte became 5-point agenda, and I'm like, oh my God. All right, but that's fine. That's okay. So basically, she's saying that, but that's true, to be honest. There was a time we didn't even know what to do. And Prof was saying there is a new part that came out. I think NCA just released another part, part 21. Yeah, that's if you're in there. And then I have great people. I mean, we've come to the end of this session. I really want to appreciate everybody on this team, the esteemed speakers that are here. Okay, yeah, and we are going to be taking questions. In terms of governance, regulatory framework, Christiana is here, and then I have my big guy here. Just go and meet Dr. Jimson. That's for governance, all right? And that's going to be sorted if we are unable to take it on this session. So the floor is open to questions. For questions, thank you.
Good day. My name is Awana. My question goes, it's regards AI. So we all know that the building block for AI is data. And then I really don't mean to insult our country, but then we still have a very crude.
Well, you just did, but it's fine. Yeah.
I'm sorry. But then we still have a very crude data collection and saving means, which automatically limits the advancement of AIs. And we still need zillions and tons of AI to optimize our work. So how are we faring as regards that angle, data collection and maintenance, as well as data privacy too, data privacy laws, yeah.
Okay, I'll push that question to Christiana. I'm also going to answer a bit around it too, yeah.
Okay.
Please. 1 minute, please.
Okay. Thanks for that question. That's an important thing because data is the new oil and is actually the thing that powers AI solutions. When we talk about Nigeria not having data, I do not agree because we have lots of data collected across different sectors from our BVN, NIN, the information's everywhere. But the issue that we have is the fact that some of these data might not be as clean as we would need to work with, and as well as some of these data are not centralized. So we need to be able to look for ways to centralize this data, which I believe that the Ministry of Digital Economy is also working on that alongside the various ministries that are under them, that are ensuring that these data are collected as well as secured. MPDC also had a summit earlier in the year where they shared their plans. Their documentation is available, their policies are available around data privacy, data protection, which boils down to the issue that I mentioned earlier of these informations are there, their policy frameworks in place, there's necessary data privacy laws in place. However, the normal person do not know because the information is not readily published out there. And what NDPC is doing is that they are working on ensuring that this data is made readily available in short forms because we're in the generation where the attention span is very low. So you don't have people who want to read an 8-page document or even 5-page document. So these contents are made readily available in small content, small bits where maybe the Gen Zs can go to TikTok or even go to Instagram Reels and see the various laws that have been put in place and how they can protect themselves, protect their data, and so on. So thank you.
All right. Yeah, you can ask the second question. I will put...
Thank you very much.
Good evening, and everybody. I'm Engineer Ronald. I work with River State ICT Department. One of the directors there. We have this, I had the research and development units, web application and automation. So when I hear about drone and robotics, I became so interested. In my department, we have some research we do, drone, AI, cloud computing, and other emerging technologies. Now, for the robotics and drones, Mr. Ronald and Madam, you talked about, I want to ask, are you are we buying the components to assemble them, or do we design, fabricate, and build them in Nigeria? That's the question. Next one is the cost. You use drones. How will it affect our economy? Because you talk about commercialized drone usage. I'm looking at Port Harcourt or River State. We want to learn something that will help our youths in Port Harcourt and River State. How can it help us? Practical insight. You call somewhere Nasarawa. Nasarawa is not Port Harcourt or River State. Want something in Port Harcourt or River State? How can this drone help us? Then how can we train our youth on this? Because most of them are young people and they need this technology. Is there a program, madam, that we can use to train our youths on this drone technology? The hardware, the software, the AI, how can we do that? Another one is the aviation school you talked about, and we clapped. The cost or the school fee may be in dollars. Not $500, sometimes $10,000. How can our youth here pay for that? I don't know whether there's a scholarship scheme for that. It would be grateful if at least you can give 500 youths that came for this program scholarship for that aviation school. Lastly, my last question goes to the madam that took on AI. There's something getting wrong in our system. A lot of our young children don't speak their mother language. I manage some of my IT students. Some of them are year 4, year 3. They can't speak their mother language. Some don't even know their village. Once I said, if he says from Omok. Omok is just 2-hour drive from Port Harcourt. He said, I've not gone to Omok, his own village or community. I was surprised. How can we harness AI? I know there's language translator. Can we commercialize these things to our schools so that our children, these incoming generations, can also begin to speak that their language? Are you from Calabar? Are you from Okrika? Are you from Ikwere? From AI, we can translate it to these languages and help our children to speak and connect back. Thank you so much.
So let me quickly go. Bro, to just start to your question, to your answer real quick, I know you have issues with data collection, and it's a very big issue, especially Afrocentric data. But we have communities, right? The last year when I was here, we had some APIs that were in Afrocentric, in couple of, but you have to know what is happening in the ecosystem. So there are a lot of data. In the past, those data, fine-tuning them and cleaning them, they were very difficult. What I used to train our own first humanoid robot was Bible data. We had to get Bible, set up a studio. But now data is available. Do you understand what I mean? So please be in the ecosystem. There is data, unlike in the past. But I understand, it depends on the area you are now trying to focus on. I still know there's still some hidden data. Do you understand? Which you need money together. Sir, I'm not the owner of Hako, sir. Yeah, so I might be unable to, but I will send a message to the MD, who is a good friend of mine. Now, it is not about, drone is relatively cheap. You can easily get a dongle, train yourself, and even learn how to fly. We're just regulating it. Do you understand? It's not as difficult, and then it's very easy that you can do. You have hobbies. I'm sure in this room you will find at least between 5 to 10 people that knows how to fly drones. Right. So that's what I'm going to say around that particular aspect. I can't really recollect the question.
I can add to what he was saying. So I like your enthusiasm. I like the energy that I could feel. And of course, I want the youngsters to come into this group, this world, this ecosystem. The more drones that fly on the airspace, the more revenue inclined that comes to us. So on another level, the vocational training for drone, for youngsters, NDDC can sponsor. NCDMB is already doing that, and they do it with different states. I've been involved with vocational training for drones, for beginners and intermediates in Lagos, and this was from NCDMB. So we're doing that. So we can have Alex sitting right here. He can sponsor 200 children from Rivers State, even if he's not from Rivers State. And so you can have well-willing Nigerians who understand the future of the drone world to be able to do that. It is not a difficult course or pattern. I diversified from core engineering, core oil and gas, into aviation technology. So now I sit in two different worlds. So I can tell you it's very doable. For the youngsters, why not? And of course, we will send this message to Mr. Massimo. It would be fun to have the children in Port Harcourt to be able to be in that school. Yeah, that's all right. So I'm sure that when we have this talk, there might be something they can do. Maybe as their, what's that thing called, CSR? They could do something. So we both will speak with Mr. Massimo, but this is for the children. But anywhere else, and it's not going to be in dollars. It will be in Naira because we can't pay what you earn and create in Nigeria in dollars. So it's going to be in Naira. And it's not the high-tech drone pilot kind of thing, but that's why I called it vocational training for the youngsters. Thank you.
Okay, so you asked about localizing it and having multilingual features to solutions and how AI can help achieve that. As She-Code AI is one of the solutions that we're providing. So we have a chatbot that helps with necessary career mentorship and is available in different languages. And one of the things that we do is we go to secondary schools and schools in general to onboard the various participants and users. We focus on women and girls. However, the solution is open to be used by anybody. You can check www.shecode.ai. So you can check that out to test the platform out. It's a chatbot. You can also try it in different languages. We also go to schools for tours. We're in partnerships with the government of Cape Verde, where we are going around all of the 45 secondary schools across the country to train them and also onboard them to use our platform, which is called the Kaya AI, to learn the various career paths that are available. What we've also realized over the period is the fact that people want to just go with different career paths that they are hearing maybe on the news or on the internet, just like we're hearing AI right now. A lot of people will just want to go into AI, but not test their skills to know their current hard skills, their soft skills, their temperament, and their transferable skills. And going that way, it means that you're wasting time on trying to learn different skills at different points in time. With our solutions, you can drill down as quickly as possible to make quicker career decisions in different languages across different countries. Thank you so much. So I'm happy to connect. And also, of course, the PH Tech Expo can also sponsor this for us to come to your community to carry out necessary advocacy, or the NDDC can also be a part of this to ensure that we bring this to the community here. Thank you.
Okay, so it doesn't look like all talk and talk. Director, once we speak to Massimo to ES, and I confirm the pricing, if it is not going to cut off my neck, you can reach out to me and I will sponsor some good numbers personally. All right? Yeah, and so on this note, I'm going to give the panelists 30 seconds each, please, for a parting word. Thank you. 30 seconds.
Thank you for having me, Port Harcourt Expo, Tech Expo. It was very nice to bring the knowledge that we have and also see the youngsters and, of course, my peers in the drone aviation technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Expo. Those of you who are interested in aviation and anything that flies, we can network and we can talk. If you got some guts and you want some glory, you can talk to me. Thank you.
All right, reach out to Professor Jemitola on LinkedIn. Everybody is on LinkedIn, so you can connect with them on LinkedIn. Christiana?
Okay. So my last words would be digital inclusion is no longer a nice to have word or a nice to have solution in your system. It is one which is crucial for social, economic, as well as political advancement, and we should all be a part of it. Africa is building, and we should be part of the building. Thank you.
All right, to everybody, two of our panelists are not, they are virtual because they are not around. Possibly maybe tomorrow, if you are here because of them, please, we're going to avail their materials, and possibly tomorrow you might be able to hear from them. Thank you so much for having us.